Hello students, welcome to today's class. Today's class is a very interesting one. As you've seen, we are going to be taking Likely Objectives and Theory CRK. That's the Christian Religious Studies or the Christian Religious Knowledge. Likely questions you will find in your OBJ and your theory category of your assessment of your exam. Now, if you are just joining us, my name is David and you're welcome to this community. Make sure you smash the subscribe button because we have so many other subjects for you, so that once we release those subjects, you will be notified by YouTube. You can come to watch and study as you prepare yourself maximally for your upcoming exam. Remember that we also have our apps where you can study a lot of these questions, hundreds of them, and you can find the links to download them in the description of this video. So relax and let's get into it. Alright, welcome back. Now we're going to be taking the questions. We're going to start with the objective category of the CRS. Then we move to the theory. It's all comprised in this video. Now let's see the first one. The first child David had with Bathsheba died on the dash day. Remember Bathsheba? Bathsheba was the woman that was beaten, okay, on David's palace. David was on the palace and saw the woman beaten at a distance, you know, because his house was a high-rise building. He saw the woman beaten. He sent for the woman. David slept with the woman. The woman became pregnant. The woman is the mother of who? Solomon, right? Now, the first child David had with Bathsheba died on the what day? That was on the 7th day. That's option B. Okay, the child got sick, very sick, and died. The child actually died because God was not happy, because David didn't just stop at sleeping with the woman. He also orchestrated the death of her husband. Terrible, right? So that was the great sin David committed. Question 2. During the dedication of the temple by Solomon, the cloud which filled the house of God symbolized dash. Now, during the dedication of the temple of Solomon, you can read that in the book of 1 Samuel. The Bible told us that the glory of God filled the house. But how did that glory of God appear? It appeared as a white cloud. Everywhere was filled with white cloud. So much so that even the priests could not see what they were doing. Right, so that's the glory of God. It's represented as clouds in the house, in the temple. And then question 3. In the temptation of Jesus, only Mark reported that Jesus was dash. If you read the book of John, the Gospels rather, when you say the Gospels, you're talking about the 4 books. You're talking about Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Only Mark reported in his own, you know, they are all reported stories of the life and advent of the Lord Jesus Christ. Only Mark reported that Jesus, when he was in the jungle, okay, was with the wild beast. Only Mark reported that he was alone in the jungle with the wild beast. No other gospel puts it that way. And then question 4 now. Before Joseph came to Pharaoh after his release from prison, Joseph did what? You know, Joseph had been jailed for 13 years for a crime he did not commit. Okay, Potiphar's wife had lied that he tried to rape her, okay, because Joseph would not sleep with her, right? And so Joseph was jailed and brought to prison. Now, he was able to explain the dream of one of the king's servants. That one got out and gave word to the king that there is somebody who can explain your dream. And Joseph was sent for. Now, as Joseph was sent for, before he came before Pharaoh, Pharaoh was the king of Egypt. Okay, he had to do what? He had to shave his bears and change his prison clothes. He took out his prison clothes, wore clean clothes, and had to shave. It was customary before you come before fail. Right. And then next question. The reaction of Saul Amos bearer after the death of his master amounted to what? The reaction of Saul Amos bearer. Remember this story when Saul, died in battle based on God's judgment for him. He had been rebellious to God, and God said, "You will no longer be the king of Israel, and you die. And the day you die, your son will also die." And both he and his son died in battle that day. Then the Bible says something interesting. It says his armor bearer. Who is his armor bearer? The one who carries his armor for him. Because Saul was a mighty man of battle, and he was a king. So that armor bearer was like his chief of army staff. So what happened to his armor bearer? Immediately his armor bearer saw that Saul had died. He also took his own sword, and fell on his sword. Can you imagine? He took his own sword and fell on his sword, ensuring that he also killed himself. Right? So what does it show? It shows faithlessness. He couldn't believe it. So that's what it showed. Not bravery, not disappointment or loyalty. Okay, it could also show loyalty. Yeah, it could also show loyalty because it was loyal to him. Then it could show faithlessness because, this is the king and the leader of the battle is dead. So, is there any hope for those he commands? Do you understand that kind of scenario? Yeah. Okay, next question. The greatest wrath of God on Israel was incurred during the reign of King Dash. All these were kings that reigned Israel, but one of them, and this one didn't do well, this one didn't do well, this one didn't do well. Okay, I think Rehoboam did well a bit. Jeroboam didn't do well. Ahab didn't do well. Asa did well, but towards the end of his life, messed up. So, but the one who brought, the Bible said that he brought the greatest, he was the greatest sinner, the one that made God upset the most, as a king. That was who? Ahab. And the Bible said that it wasn't just Ahab, it was his wife, because he had a commanding wife. His wife commanded him. He was a king, yet his wife was like the king and directed him. The Bible says it was his wife who led him to do many of those bad stuff. Okay, next question. Josiah sent the ashes of the burnt vessels of Bar to Bethel. To do what? When he became king, he sent the burnt ashes, the ashes of the burnt vessels of Bar to Bethel, to simply do what? To desecrate, desecrate the golden calf being worshipped, desecrate the place for child sacrifice, despoil the high places of Asherah, consecrate, no, it was to desecrate the golden calf. Remember Josiah. Josiah was the king of Israel, and he was a righteous king, he was a good king, and he believed in the laws of God that you should not worship other gods. So in order to show to the people that these gods they were worshiping has been desecrated, it's no longer holy to be worshipped, he burnt the vessels of the god and poured it on the calf that they were worshiping, marking the desecration of that golden calf. Right? It's like today, if you want to desecrate a Muslim sheikh, a Muslim imam, there are some certain things you do. For example, Muslim imam, Muslim sheikh are not supposed to eat pig or touch pig. So let's say the sheikh, the leader of the people, of the Muslim category in a state or city, you give him pig without him knowing. What have you done? Based on what I've heard from their religion, you've desecrated him. Do you understand? That was what he did there. Next question. The Judean king who revolted against Babylon after serving her for 3 years or so. Babylon had captured Judea, and killed everybody there. Left just the poor people there, and some women. And then he made one of these men to be the king. and this man was to report to him. But after 3 years, this person he made to be the king revolted, said, we will not serve this king of Babylon. And he paid dearly for it. So what's his name? That should be who? Zedekiah. Yes, his eyes was gorged, he was messed up. His sons were killed before his own eyes, Zedekiah, because he revolted against the king of Babylon. The king of Babylon had took the city hostage, killed every great man there, left only the poorest, the ones without hope, like the beggars, and some women, and say, okay, all of you be bringing tributes to me, tax and resources. Deliver it to me continuously, must not stop, and make this man to be the leader of the people on his behalf. He revolted and paid dearly for it. Okay, next question. After the departure of the Israelites, God made Pharaoh pursue them. Of course, you've read this story in the Bible. Once the Israelites came out of the land of Egypt, Pharaoh said to his men, why would we let these people go? Let's chase them and get them back. This time, we'll put more burden upon them. So Pharaoh is the king, and 600 of his army pursued them with horses, and we were very close to catching them. God made Pharaoh pursue them to do what? A, force Israel to return to Egypt. B, hasten Israel's journey through the wilderness. No. Make Israel obey Moses. No. Get glory over Pharaoh and his host. Yes. God wanted to make them pay for what they did to Israel. Because for about more than 400 years, Pharaoh made Israel as a slave, used them thoroughly, before God sent Moses as a deliverer to rescue them from Egypt. So God made them pursue the Israelites in order to take glory, in order to give them back to repay them in their own coin for the injustice that they did to Israel. Next question. The context between Elijah and the prophets of Baal took place at Mount Dash. Okay, remember that story where the prophet of Baal were on one side, the prophets of God were on one side, but the prophets with Elijah were on one side. And Elijah said, here is the sacrifice you have put down. Anybody who could call fire from heaven to burn this sacrifice is serving the true God. And the prophet of Baal started the duel. They tried from morning to evening, they weren't able to call fire. And then it was only Elijah and his team. Within 1 minute's prayer, fire came down, showing that what Yahweh, God of heaven, is the true God. So the contest between Elijah and the prophet of Baal took place at the mount. That mountain where they had that duel is what? Mount Carmel. Next question. God's love for unfaithful Israel is demonstrated in the book of Amos, Isaiah, Hosea, Ezekiel. It's Hosea. Hosea is the one. There are all these books in the Bible, but the book of Hosea explains, highlights in depth the love of God for Israel. Now, if you've watched this video to this point, it shows you're enjoying it, and if you're enjoying it, why not smash the subscribe button? It helps to build our community, and of course, it also suggests to the YouTube algorithm that the channel is producing good content. Then you can push it to a larger audience of people. This is your own way of saying thank you for the effort and resources we put into making this work possible and free for you. Okay, next question. You shall be my own possession among all people. God made this promise to the Israelites on the condition that they would A. Drove the Canaanites out, kept away from foreign women, obeyed God's voice, and kept his covenant. When you read the Old Testament in the Bible, God so much loved the people of Israel But God had a problem with them, which is what? They loved God, but they were always torn between God and other idols. They were always torn between God and their own selfish desires. So God was saying to them here, if you keep my commandments, you shall be my own possession. You will be my own. Among all the nations of the earth, I will choose you. That's amazing. That's amazing. And God made that promise to the Israelites if they would keep his commandments, if they would keep his voice, if they would do what he has asked them to do. Okay? Next, Nathan announced all the following forms of punishment for David's sin, except that, okay, we already talked about this sin before, the sin with the wife of Uzziah, Bathsheba. Okay? So God sent Nathan the prophet, say, David has messed up. Go and meet him and pronounce such and such a judgment upon him. So, which of this is not among the judgment God sent? God will raise up evil against his own house. God said that. He said he would do it and he did it. His wives will be taken away from him. He said it and he did it. The sword will never depart from his house. He said it, that his children will kill each other, and it happened. His son Absalom will challenge him. He didn't say that. He didn't mention the name of any of his sons. So this one is not there. Question next. The wife of Phinehas named a premature child Ichabod. That's so sad. She named a premature child Ichabod. Why? Ichabod means a terrible thing. Who is the wife of Phinehas? Remember Ophni and Phinehas, the children of Eli. Eli the high priest. And God brought the judgment upon Eli and his sons because Eli was not able to control his sons. His sons were sleeping with the women in the country, collecting bribe, messing up as judges of the land. And God was angry. And God says, you and your sons will die the same day. Okay? And it so happened that he and his sons died in battle. He died in the temple. They died the same day. And but Phinehas' wife was pregnant and was supposed to be delivered very, very soon, very shortly. She had the news that day. And due to trouble of spirit and soul, she entered into labor and had a premature child. See, what did she name the child? She died. And what did she name the child? Ichabod. Meaning what? The glory of God has departed from Israel. Why did she do that? Israel had lost the ark and her husband. Correct. Because that day her husband died. The ark of God, that was like the symbol of authority and power in the country, was taken away by the enemy during the war. Not even just that, her father-in-law, the father to her husband, died. So that's what Ichabod means. The glory is departed. Next question now. What significant incidents occurred during Jesus' resurrection that was unique to the Gospel of Matthew? Right. When Jesus rose up from the dead, what happened? That was unique. You don't find in other Gospels. There was thunder and lightning. No. When he rose up from the dead, there was no thunder and lightning. 2. Many angels came around singing. No. There were not many angels singing when he rose up. A great earthquake took place. Yes. Darkness covered the tomb. No, there was no darkness. What happened was there was an earthquake. Alright, there was an earthquake that took place when he rose up from the dead. I'm enjoying this. So if you are enjoying this class, join me in the comment section to say, I'm enjoying it. Right on. Yes, I'm enjoying it. And if you are among the few that have stayed to watch up until this time, join the community, subscribe to the family, okay, and like the video. And not just like, share the video with your friends. Just hit the share link and drop it in your school group, in your WhatsApp chat in your school group. It's so much fun we're having here. And remember that you can also check the channel for several other subjects. We've done, hundreds of videos covering many other subjects. So watch them as you prepare for your exam. You should not fail. You cannot fail. Okay? Next question now. What are these people Jews doing? These words of Sanballat teaches us that what? What are these feeble Jews doing? Okay, you remember the story. That's when Nehemiah was building the wall. I took a deep study into this in a theory class last week. You can also check the video in the channel. He was building the wall, and Sanballat, one of the chief men in the city, with Tobiah, Geshem, some people began to mock him. Now look at these ones. Look at these ones. Began to mock him. One of their enemies. Say, what are these ones doing? Look at the words they are doing. They are building. It's not even strong. So what do we learn from there? Hey, no matter what we do, people will ridicule us. Certain jokes are very destructive. No, we must be vigilant while we work. No, people will appreciate our weakness. No, this is what it teaches us. They were doing the good thing for the country, for their country. These ones were against their country. The walls of their country had been broken and the enemy had invaded it and destroyed it. And Nehemiah had gone there with his team to rebuild the wall, which he did in 52 days. The wall of the whole country. Right? Now, Sanballat and Tobiah and some other men, we're mocking them. So what we can learn from this is, no matter what we do, good stuff, they were doing good stuff. He says people would ridicule us. People will still mock us. We can't play spirit. Then, next question. The saying that the children of Israel shall dwell many days without effort means what? You see this in the Bible. It says there will be many days without the effort. Effort is what was used in that old time, by the priest to worship. The priest used the effort to worship God, okay, to speak to God, to offer incense to God. Alright, so what does it mean there? Complete starvation in Israel is inevitable. No, it's not about food. Sleeping without clothes, no, it's not about that. No priestly activity will be in Israel because it's priests that use the effort. So if they shall be, the children of Israel shall dwell many days without effort means there will be no priestly activities, which is sad. Which was sad because nobody, how could you live without priests, without God, without praying, without songs? Okay, next question. Rather than killing Saul, David took his spear and jar of water and rebuked Abner. Who is Abner? The chief of security of King Saul at the time. Okay, David took his spear and water and rebuked Abner for what? For negligence and dereliction. Negligence. Remember that Saul was chasing David, looking for him to kill him. Why? Envy. Because all the women, the city loved David. They were always singing, David has killed 10,000. Saul only killed 1,000 of our enemies. And Saul was also scared that when he dies, his son, Jonathan, who should be the king, the people will refuse him. They will choose David. David was a young man. Maybe David should be about 30 something at this time. So Saul was always looking for him. The king of the city, left the throne and was chasing David up and down to kill him. So this night, he was tired, sleeping in a cave with his armies and his boys. David came to that cave also to sleep and met him there. This was an opportunity for David to have killed him. It happened twice, but David said no. I cannot kill God's own anointed. And to show that I saw you here, but I left you spared, David took his spear and his jar of water, went to the top of the hill and shouted, "My Lord, King Saul!" Long story cut short, that shout woke up Saul. And then David began to rebuke his chief of security, Abner. How could you sleep so deep that enemies came to kill your king, your Lord? The life of your Lord should be demanded from your hand. Interesting. So it shows the negligence of Abner, who should be protecting the king. He slept away. Okay. Jesus ordered the 70 disciples not to salute anyone on their journey. Why? Because their mission required urgency. Yes, it's not part of their mission. No, they must forget their mission. No, salutation defied the Jews. No, this is why their mission required urgency. They were going to where they were going. They needed to be there fast. Next question. The new covenant was unique because A, written on tables of stone. No, it's the old covenant that is written on tables of stone, written on the hearts of men. The new covenant will be written on the hearts of men, as was prophesied in the book of Isaiah. Okay. Next. Okay. So with that, we come to the end of the objective questions. Now, I want to take you a few of the top likely theory questions you will find in your CRK, if you like, CRX exam. Now, if you've watched this video up until this level, you are enjoying it. I'm also enjoying it. So make sure you like the video and stay subscribed to the channel. We have many more in the bag for you. Then remember that you can always use the link in the description of this video to go to our apps and begin to practice hundreds of past questions. Aside that, we are active on Telegram, so you'll also find the link to connect with us on Telegram in this video. So go connect with us so that you don't miss any other school updates, admission updates, or even scholarships. Now, without further ado, let's finish it. Explain the call of Abraham and its significance to Israel. Abraham, let's see the answer I had here for you. God called Abraham out of his father's land and asked him to go to a land he would show him. God promised to bless him, make his name great, and make him the father of many nations. Abraham obeyed God's faith. Yeah, remember that he was 75 when God called him. He was an old man, so God can call anybody. And Samuel was old, a young man, 8, right, or so about when God called him. So age is just a number with God. But what's the significance? Abraham is the foundation of the Hebrew nation. Yes. The blessings of Abraham is the foundation of Israel, as you see today. Beginning of God's covenant with Israel, it began with Abraham. God struck the deal with Abraham. It demonstrates faith and obedience. Responding to the call of God demonstrated faith that Abraham had in God. It shows God's plan for salvation through the descendants of Abraham. Yeah, so that is really, really good. Now, next question. Describe Joseph's experience in Egypt and how God used it for his purpose. Joseph had a bad time at the beginning of his life in Egypt. Let's see. Joseph was sold by his brothers to Egypt. He was falsely accused by Potiphar's wife. He was imprisoned 13 years. But later, he interpreted Pharaoh's dream and became the governor. Not just the governor. I think he became like the vice president because he was the next to the king, to the Pharaoh of Egypt. So, what can we learn from his life? 1, he saved Egypt and Israel from famine because there was no food during the famine period. Only Egypt had food. He fulfilled his dream of leadership. He proved God's faithfulness in trouble. He showed forgiveness and reconciliation with his brothers. Remember the question again. Describe Joseph's experience in Egypt and how God used it for his purpose. Alright. Now, next question. What were the major roles of Moses in the liberation of Israel from Egypt? Moses, the point man, the sent man, the trail leader. What was his roles in the deliverance of Israel from the grip of Egypt? Let's see. 1, he confronted Pharaoh to release the people, to release Israel. Yes, it was Pharaoh who went, it was Moses who went to Pharaoh and says, release God's people, release the Israelites, it's enough. Then he performed signs and plagues by God's power, bringing frogs, all kinds. When you read Genesis, you see, led Israel, took them from the land of Egypt, led them across the Red Sea, received the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai, guided them towards the promised land. So this one's are simple for you now. What lessons can Christians learn from the story of David and Goliath? David was about 17 years old at this time, maybe 16 or 17. Goliath was a stocky giant man. 6 fingers, 6 fingers, 6 toes. He was a giant. Okay? So what lesson can we learn? 17-year-old man brought down, killed him, and cut off his head. How? What lesson can we learn from that? 1. Faith in God conquers fear. Faith in God. You have faith in God. I will not fear. 2. God uses ordinary people for great tasks. Yes. So this point is exactly how I like it. So you that is watching me, thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Maybe I've written JAMB once or twice. Maybe I will not make it. Maybe things are hard. Maybe. Look at this point again. God uses ordinary people for great tasks. Like David, he was just 17 years old. He wasn't a warlord, but God used him for great tasks, which made him popular. Okay, which now made the people to start singing, oh, David has killed 10,000, Saul has killed 1,000, which made Saul to be envious of him. You remember the story I told you before. So courage and confidence in God will always bring victory. Don't cast away your confidence in God. Trust in God. And physical strength is not as powerful as spiritual strength. That's another point. Believers must trust God in challenges. You don't have to write your answers as this. Just make sure that your thoughts, you can articulate them properly with the right vocabulary. Okay, the right syntax on paper. Right? Good. And then the last question, I don't know if it's the last one, but number 5. Explain the division of the kingdom of Israel under Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Now, the kingdom of Israel contains 12 tribes, which are the 12 sons of Jacob. Okay? Now, the kingdom got splitted because of the mess up of Rehoboam. So it got split into 2 tribes. Rehoboam had just 2 tribes. Rehoboam was the son of Solomon. He had just 2 tribes, while Jeroboam had 10 tribes. Now let's see. After Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam ruled harshly, ruled without sense. He didn't have any sense. Now, 10 tribes were angry with the way he was talking to them and ruling over them, and they followed Jeroboam. They formed the northern kingdom, Israel. Judah and Benjamin remained with Jeroboam as the southern kingdom, Judah. Okay, this was the kingdom that David built, passed over to Solomon. Solomon built. He got to that of his son Rehoboam. He didn't have sense. Talked anyhow. Led to the kingdom, like Nigeria, breaking into 2 parts. 10 parts follow one side, 2 parts now stayed with him. He was ruling on just 20% of the people. Okay? What were the reasons? Heavy taxation and forced labor. They came to meet him that Solomon, your father, taxed us too heavily. They came to meet him. Solomon, your father, taxed us too heavily. Promise us that it won't be the same with you. You know what this guy said? Rehoboam said, I will do more. The people were shocked. Like, are you nuts? We said we suffered so much under your father's reign, Solomon. And he insisted. Then disobedience to God. He wasn't an obedient person. And of course, the fulfillment of prophecy. God had already said that his kingdom will be splitted. Okay? Because of Solomon's reign. Remember that at the end of Solomon's life, he was the wisest man and God was the one who blessed him. But that money got to his head. He messed up towards the end of his reign. So God said, the kingdom will not continue under your hand. I will split it. Okay, after Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam ruled. Okay, I've read this, I've taken this already. Alright, so there we have it for this beautiful class. I am sure you enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed myself. The subject I love the most, okay, after English, maybe before English, is CRK, because it's just amazing and it's sweet. I'm sure you enjoyed it the way we explained it together. There are other videos I also made on CRK, CRS in the channel. In fact, I also did for IRK. Interestingly, Islamic Studies. Okay, so you want to go and watch it, alright? Objectives and theory as you prepare yourself for your upcoming exam. Also remember that other subjects like maths, English, biology, chemistry, economics, government, and what have you is in the channel. So you want to watch until you are satisfied, until you're sure. No exam is hard in itself. It's just lack of preparation, okay? That make it so. So, and how best can you prepare? You don't need to, these days, carry so many textbooks. In your comfort, instead of going on Telemundo or Netflix, you can use the opportunity to sit down, sit back, and just watch and study and learn. Not only are you preparing for your exam, you are gathering new information, you are learning new things, and you are preparing for your future ahead. I'm happy to have you on this video with me, and I'll see you in another one. Bye. Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the content you just watched. To see more episodes as that, preparing you for your oncoming exams, smash the subscribe button on this channel right now and visit the playlist that we've made for you, covering over 50 types of different exams, including JAMB, WAEC, CRK,